All right, welcome everybody. This is Azizi Podcast, and today I have a very exciting guest. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about decentralization. Welcome, Mori Zihayat. How are you, sir?
Hi, good to see you, Samir. Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you as well. You are the core contributor to Heisenberg Network, and that's why I wanted to chat with you because we are also working a little bit on the side too. So I got to learn more about the company. I got to learn more about you as well and your team and your partner as well. So it's great to have this podcast to kind of tell the audience what do you do, what does the company do as well. So yeah, I mean, and by the way, we're recording this on Sunday, which is not it's kind of a little bit unusual for this podcast, but I really appreciate your time that you took an hour on your Sunday to talk to me. So I'm going to be very straightforward with my questions.
Of course, no, that's awesome. Weekends are the best for me to work.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with your journey. Like, what's your background and how did you get into AI and the blockchain? How did it all start with you?
That's a long story. You want to listen all the details?
Well, I guess the bullet points would be great.
Okay, so well, it's the first time that I got to the maybe AI was the first part of my life in the journey to get to the Heisenberg, and that started 2007 when I started my master program. And back in time, we didn't have as cool AI that we are dealing with these today's. But I was working on concept of machine learning, particularly in the context of cybersecurity and fraud detection and credit card fraud detection. And I got familiar with that through my supervisor, right? So I was doing the research, then it got more interesting for me. Back in time, even deep learning for me was not an option. So I was using classic approach and the fact that the reason that I could not have deep learning because, well, the compute was not there yet. Everything happened after 2010, 11. So that's where I started. And then did my PhD in machine learning, specifically in the algorithmic and theory aspects. And I think it was about the second or third year of my PhD, I started working as a research fellow at IBM. And over there, I got familiar with the concept of big data and working on the distributed algorithms, how to deal with the huge amount of data that we have that cannot fit on one particular computer. And I found that actually there are a lot more than just building the model and using the model. There are a lot behind the scene happening that no one is aware of. And that part was about the data itself that we used to call it big data. Now I believe it's changed a bit. But then I got into the kind of the processes, the data processing, how to feed the models with the right data. And it gets going and going. I finished my PhD. Well, then I went for a postdoc at U of T. After that, I joined university as a faculty, as an assistant professor, and my research was still on the data processing for machine learning and data management for machine learning and machine learning itself. Then I believe it was 2018 that I got kind of, familiar with the next step of AI consequences, which is a society and responsible AI and how it might impact our society in different aspects. So the responsible AI was very interesting for me. Then I got to the concept of human-centered AI, which, okay, now we have powerful technology, we have interesting AI, but this is not something that maybe kind of we should just release the power with no control on it. There must be some factors of humanity and human itself being involved in every single steps. That's where I was also working on the concept to see that how the societal aspects matters.
Hmm.
I think it was 2019. Yeah, we started more research as an adjunct professor at the University of Waterloo. We started hiring a couple of researchers specifically working on the concept of decentralization for AI. And the decentralization, that was to me one of the main perk is the society that everyone can get involved and everyone has a power, which to me is getting more and more important these days. And then that research just started. I got into the decentralization. Then 2020, 21, actually,
It's the peak
blockchain.
hype for the crypto. I remember that moment.
Exactly. And then we're like, okay, what we are thinking about on the decentralization
Yeah.
or distribution of the power, actually, blockchain is the most powerful enablers can get involved. And we're like, okay, let's see that what's going on. And from one thing to another, we can discuss the details, particularly about Heisenberg later. But
Yeah.
yeah, I got to the decentralized compute, decentralized process, decentralized data, and Heisenberg was
So this
working.
this is was the moment when it clicked for you, right? Like, okay, this
Yeah.
is the problem that we want to solve. But like, could you specify though, like, if this is like something that inspired you to start Heisenberg, like, what was the specific moment when you realized, like, okay, this was the problem you wanted to solve? Would you say like that was that moment when, the two and two came together, decentralization and AI, after
Funny you
2021?
mention, funny you mention this because one of the moments wherever I remember that why Heisenberg happened is the moment that I was actually doing some coding to do a huge pipelines using Google Colab for one of the research projects that we've been working. And Google was keep notifying me that, hey, you are not using GPU. Your work can be done by CPU, and you can just release the GPU that you hold on so we can use it for others. And I'm like, I'm doing something in AI, but I just need CPU. But I pay a lot for this kind of, centralized infra. Is there a way that I can make the game different? That was actually the first clicks that, okay, you know what? There are a huge amount of CPUs out there. There are many personal laptops, many personal, devices that can be leveraged for AI, and they're not GPU. And actually, we don't need GPU. And what if I can somehow use them to empower the right component of AI? And
Mhm.
that's kind of always reminds me, okay, what happened that I focus on this data or intelligence layer built on top of CPU? That was one of the main moments. The other one is the research, whatever we are doing here is born out of the research that we've been doing with my co-founder and the other teams at UWL at the beginning. And the focus was actually how can we use either AI for crypto or crypto for AI? And this project specifically got a lot of attention for us because we could see the practical value of decentralization and blockchain for AI. That's kind of, a bit long journey, more than just 1 second that I can say I
Of
remember,
course.
but that notification of Google Colab was actually very
Oh, that's interesting.
highlighting in my mind.
That's so cool, like a light bulb. And it's funny, you mentioned University of Waterloo, and I'll be honest with you, I'm in Canada only for like 5 years. I came in 2019, so I wasn't very familiar with the ecosystem of the educational institutions here in Canada, maybe United States more. But like I later learned that University of Waterloo is like one of the most prestigious universities in the world, and a lot of like startups came out of University of Waterloo. Um, and so like just recently it became like a meme even like, oh, like the biggest export that Canada can offer is the University of Waterloo grads. And I know you went to other schools as well, so I don't want you to like have favorites and play favorites and all of that. But do you feel like being like working within that ecosystem of University of Waterloo kind of affected like, it's like a next level or something like that? Did you feel that weird like engineering startup kind of mentality there?
That's a very good question, and you already mentioned it. I did my PhD at York, postdoc at U of T,
That's why I
professor
say
at
let's not play
UNU.
favorites, right?
And but it's not easy, to kind of see that where it comes from. But my experience at Waterloo and working with the team we had there was very fruitful and productive. Uh, before this kind of specific project, we've been working on data management and graph mining a lot, and it's always was fruitful for me. And the part that I truly believe it when it comes to the blockchain. If you look at the quality of the teams coming out of Waterloo, well, put us aside. I don't want to say that we are high quality, but if
Oh,
you look at the teams, you will find that actually they are doing amazing jobs. And that's not come just from the entrepreneurial mindset. It comes from the deep kind of level of research is being done there in different aspects, particularly even for undergrads. That's something that I believe that's why we see a lot of, reputation on the kind of, entrepreneurial aspects of Waterloo, which I was not kind of involved with that part, but for the research part, the part that I was involved, I can see the value. The
Well,
same as other universities.
of course, and no, it's absolutely yeah. With all due respect to other
Yeah.
institutions in Canada, but like for those who don't know, like what is your exact role at Heisenberg? Like, what's your position? What's your day to day? Like, what are you involved with? Like generally?
Okay. Well, the main role that I have, if I want to put label, I'm the co-founder, right? Or any other. But what I truly call myself, I'm just a contributor at the moment here. What I'm trying to do is that how to make it work, how to actually bring the utility that makes sense to solve a real problem. And my daily days, the days that I work on Heisenberg, it's pretty kind of interesting. I could say that I have different hats on. There is a hat specifically on the research. I believe that whatever happening in Web3 is research, is not just business. It's very deep research. And the reason is that we are literally reinventing the internet. So there are a lot need to be reconstructed. And based on this new foundation, everything is changing. You cannot just apply a business model, let's say, somewhere else here. You have to build completely everything from scratch. So it requires a lot of research. So I do a lot of paper reading, particularly on algorithms and how to make the infrastructure work. There are a lot of aspects with the business. I work with different projects to see that how the collaboration works. That's very, I found it much more important than Web 2. In the Web 2, even Web 3, even businesses are decentralized. It means that you cannot do the business just by yourself. You cannot be a centralized entity, even if you are powerful, and be kind of, sustainable. You have to work with many other projects, partnerships. It's all about kind of interactions in
All,
community in the business layer.
all of them layers, layer ones and twos and zeros.
Exactly, exactly, and that's kind of takes my time, particularly for the meetings, talking to many
Right.
of these ones. And of course, for the team, there are some operation works. Those are I don't
Always
like,
that.
but I have to do. Is always there. But yeah, a lot of time goes on I would say, the research and building these days.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. And I'd like to talk more just about abstract, like AI is such an abstract concept for a lot of people. You know, it's people who are within the industry, they would be probably surprised unless they already know. Like for just the average folks who are just like working, go to work and doing their job and all of that, they still don't understand the concept of AI. And I'll be honest with you, they're not even trying to um, get in there. Like they're trying to actively just pretend that it's not there, it's not going to happen to you soon. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you, and I wrote these questions down. Like, for example, when people hear a lot about AI, but they don't realize how much data it needs to make it work. And so I was wondering, in like in simple terms, like if we talk about AI and data, like can you explain to me why AI needs structured data?
Okay, that's a good question. Uh, I also have a couple of courses teaching at university. Specifically, I'm teaching AI for business, right? And this is actually the part that uh, we can talk a lot about it from the perspective that I first personally believe that if even someone still think that, okay, I should not think about the AI, please do. This is something that is getting, out of my hand or your hand. It's going to be part of our life. Even if today there is no more progress in AI, no advancement happened. Whatever happened so far, it's going to stay there. It's
Oh
not
yeah.
something that goes away. And it's impacting the daily life of every single job, every single businesses. From a simple revising an email using, I don't know, LLMs, goes up the way to a lot of automations that happening even now. I'm not talking about AGI, ASI down the
Absolutely.
road, just now.
It's already here. Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing. If I want to kind of, talk about the AI and structure, data, the example that it's always come to my mind, imagine you have a 3 years, 4 years old kid, and you have two options. Take the kid to, I don't know, to some fast food restaurants, give them, I don't want to name any brands, but give them a very kind of low quality junk food, right? And say that, yeah, this is what it is. Eat it and try to be healthy, powerful, smart, right? Or you can take that person and say that, okay, you know what? Instead of I give it this year to my kid, I'm gonna give a very healthy, much smaller maybe size, right? But full of nutritions. That's the difference between the data that we see out there, the raw data, and the structured data or AI ready
So
data.
raw data is fast food.
Raw data to me is just fast food. Yeah, there is a small nutrition there, but
Yeah.
it comes with a lot of, side effects, which at the end of the day, yeah, you might grow, you might get a better kind of, I don't know, at the end of the day, you get growing,
Yeah.
right? But not very powerful. And who knows what's going to happen to
Uh,
you in
That's a
terms
cool
of long
example. I
term.
actually haven't heard an example like that before, but it's actually really
Very clear,
representative.
yeah.
It's yeah, I understand
That's
that.
that's exactly how I see it. There is a huge amount of raw data out there, but this is junk. This is garbage. You cannot just pass this. And this is not actually how it happens. When you look at OpenAI, look at Grok, or look at, let's say, for example, DeepSeek, you
Hmm.
see the impact of the structured data or high quality AI ready data that being fed to this model compared to the many failures you see out there as examples.
Yes, and for those who don't know, DeepSeek is so basically a competitor to OpenAI. They're based in China, and they recently issued their model, and they claim that their model cost much less than what it cost OpenAI to do. And they published this giant paper and all of that, and they I guess introduce how they can manage the raw data in a more efficient way, and that was kind of like a revolutionary thing. And a lot of people speculate that this is because and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that this is because China has a limited access to the GPUs due to like specific policies on trade, and so they had to do what they had to do. They had to figure it out how to do the same amount of output using whatever they have, right? Which is not much
Mhm.
GPUs. Yeah.
That's one
Did I
reason.
kind of hit it like as a normie? Did I hit it right?
That's completely correct reason. That's exactly what happened. But the thing is, given last couple of years that we had a lot of advancement by OpenAI, the next step was that can we make it cheaper or better? And I believe that China got to that point. The DeepSeek, not China. DeepSeek got to that point as a team of researchers faster than others. I'm sure that many kind of team of researchers at the moment working trying to make it cheaper because the model that OpenAI ChatGPT that we are familiar with, it cost hundreds of $1 million, right?
Right.
Still not affordable for many companies even to build it or to even use it, right? So the make it affordable and scalable, actually, yeah, that's one thing. And DeepSeek got to that point very fast.
Yeah, that was like a surprising development, and I think it crashed the stock market and especially the Nvidia stock,
Mhm.
and it lost like multiple billion dollars in capitalization.
Mhm.
Um, it's crazy, it's crazy. But speaking about AI projects, right? There's a lot of AI projects, especially in the past couple of years. Like people just like jumped in on that, and there's so much capital was flowing into AI projects, and it was kind of like a hyper increase in that. But lately, AI projects are facing problems. And would you say like, the problems with AI projects right now are related to the fact that, um, it's too expensive, or, the data is bad, or like what do you feel like the main problem right now with AI projects, and why the AI projects are struggling?
There are many aspects. I'm talking about the ones that it fits what kind of I believe,
But as far as like
and
being efficient, right? Like
yeah,
that, yeah.
that's kind of the things. What happens. Let's kind of review what happened in the last couple of years. OpenAI released a model, and by the releasing that model, there was a huge traction from the all the community. I'm not talking about just scientists. Before that, OpenAI was around for many years, right? They were releasing many models. GPT-3 was out no one knew about GPT-3 unless you were very in technical aspects. Or I don't know, there was another model, Wally. Wally was around for a couple of years. They had a model that was DJing for you. You could kind of ask to do the create a DJ track songs for you, and it was doing it, right? No one, at least as I know, many people didn't know about these things. The reason that GPT-4 got very attractive and AI kind of became explosive in terms of growth was that it became tangible to everyone. That okay, oh my God, look at this model. It understands me and it can talk the way that I talk, and I can talk and it can understand me even better than the way I express myself. You know
Right.
what I mean? That's kind of something, one of the aspects of AI that it's very tangible for everyone, even non-technical savvy or many business people, business companies who are not in tech aspects. And they're like, okay, oh, now it can act like a human. Then it becomes very demanding. Every businessman, every smart or entrepreneurial kind of characters, they start thinking, oh, what if I use it as an assistant for this? What if I use it instead of this? What if I do this? There are a lot of what if came out as business ideas. But
Right.
the thing is, it was on the surface.
Hmm.
So these GPT 4 or OpenAI models enable everyone thinking in a very creative way in the surface. But this is just the surface, right?
Hmm.
It's just the tip of an iceberg. So you can easily communicate. But the thing is, the communication is not good enough. Then it comes that, okay, if you have an idea that you want to use AI to build upon or build a project with AI, there are a lot of foundations, infrastructure needs. So what are the challenges? First of all, you need a lot of technical background to build this, or you need enough money to hire someone to do it for you. Then the cost of running these models and using them on daily basis is not kind of small, right? So the cost actually became another struggle.
Hmm.
So both technical skills to build the infrastructure underneath for this business AI business project, and of course the cost to me are the main challenges. And many companies in the AI infrastructure are actually trying to see that how to reduce the cost and make it easier to actually build these infrastructures for the people who are the audience in this surface layer, which means everyone, literally everyone in the room.
It's fascinating, right? Because it seems to you if like you use ChatGPT, for example, or any other model, and you're like, oh my God, it talks to you, it's creative and all that. But like, if you're a professional in your own field, let's say you're some sort of an engineer, or you code in a particular language, or there's something else that is very niche to your profession, and you're trying to use it as your assistant, and you understand the context. You're not just kind of like they say vibe coding, right? Where you're just like, okay, do something, and whatever you do, like I'll just accept it. That's when when you go deeper, that's when you catch like, oh, okay, so it actually starts making mistakes. The general models that it's using, it's not actually applicable to my specific context. And and even I've been noticing that with like some administrative tasks as well. And it's definitely kind of like raises flags for you where you're like, oh, wow, I actually have to be careful. It's not the time right now to completely trust the model. Because again, as you said, it looks like it's been fed some fast food as far as the data. But I wanted to ask you, like, most of people think that AI it's like ChatGPT, like maybe self-driving cars, but like what part of AI do you think the public isn't paying enough attention to right now?
Uh, you mean, can you elaborate a bit more? Do you mean like the part of AI that
Well, it's
play an
fun,
important
but
role in
it's
the advancement?
like when you say AI, right, artificial intelligence, it's sort of like it became like a brand word. Like it's like people don't even understand like what it is, artificial intelligence. Like we have like some transformers, right? That allow us to like transform text into something, and we like, okay, so this is AI, like this is like a textual model. But like is that it is there is to is how do you say it? Is that it there is to it, right? So like are there any aspects of artificial intelligence that we haven't tapped into yet? Is using like what Apple AI oh, sorry, with Apple Intelligence going to offer us, what OpenAI will offer us, is that kind of like it, or there's more to it? Maybe like as far as artificial general intelligence, is that even a real thing, or is it just some another marketing ploy like, oh, we're gonna create a robot that will be a human being?
Okay.
Is there more progress to AI, or is this it? Is this transformer of text to voice and all of that? Like we achieved that,
Okay. Well, I refer you to a kind of a very interesting categories that I've seen back in 1950, where AI started, right? So what happened that we thought of AI? Or when we were thinking about AI out of the current context, we are thinking of, I don't know, maybe Star Wars. We are thinking of uh, Terminator, the movies that they are having the humanized machines, right? So basically, there are many definitions. Your question is that, if you ask any different people, you get different answers because everyone define AI differently, right? But I see four main kind of, categories. I believe that it's about the acting and thinking of any machines, right?
right?
If there is a system act like human, to me is an AI. If a system acts rationally, is an AI. And again, if a system think like human, is an AI. If a system think rationally, it's an AI. So there are four main categories, and the combination of course gets more. So at the moment, what we see, at least in ChatGPT, maybe it's more on the thinking process, not acting at all. There are many a bit recent advancement on the agent platforms. We are
Hmm.
getting into acting.
That's a good segue,
But
by the way.
yeah, that's kind of at the moment it's like the thinking ChatGPT can think rationally. You can also make it to think like a human, right? So that's one category that I see a lot of progress in last few years happened, but there are a lot needs to be done on the acting, then coordination of this thinking and acting, which becomes to another concept that we call it AGI, artificial general intelligence. Then it goes to another category called ASI, artificial super intelligence. So
Right.
these are the next step that everyone now thinking and talking about it, but that's how simple I see it. Acting, thinking. GPT, OpenAI, what we see is more on the thinking. Now it's getting to the acting, but still, acting in physical world is different than the virtual world. ChatGPT or current advancement with even others, you see some happens in the kind of real world as well, right? The robots, right? But
Right.
still needs a lot to be done about this acting and thinking and connections of these in a very reliable way.
So we have a long way to go. There's much more that's going to be discovered and presented to us, and it's probably going to be
Yeah,
very, very fast
I
and very quick.
I think we got faster.
Yeah.
We were walking before, like maybe before
It's
COVID, I would say.
it's tough to
We were
keep up.
walking. Now we are kind of started running to
Yeah.
get to the next steps. It's much faster, but still we need to run. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's fascinating. You're trying to catch up all the time and like I'm refreshing my X and like there's news every day, every day. But like we talked a lot about AI and the background of AI, but let's talk about Heisenberg a little bit. If you had to explain Heisenberg network to someone with like zero tech background, how would you describe it? Like how would you explain Heisenberg to someone like that?
Simple word. We give you the organic food to your AI models, if I want to put it in a very simple way. But that's kind of, if I want to simplify it, is that there is a huge amount of data out there. There are many people, many companies now collecting the data, right? Even in decentralized world. And this huge amount of data is not prescribed or can be used for all the models. Every AI model, every AI agent out there, they have their own identity, they have their own focus, they have their own context. All this data is not relevant. This data needs to be processed, cleaned, filtered, contextualized. Then it becomes to a small data, which we call it intelligence, that can be fed to that AI. So that's what Heisenberg does at a scale. So there are hundreds of millions of AI entities soon out there. They are working on different problems. There are petabytes of trillions of records of data out there as well. Someone should take care of passing the intelligence, extracting the intelligence from this raw data and passing to this AI agent. That's what Heisenberg is doing.
That's amazing. And I've read several articles about Heisenberg Network, and the phrase data agent is being used a lot. And I'm hearing this and I'm reading that on social media as well. As it relates to Heisenberg Network, what exactly are they, like the data agents, and how do they help AI function better?
Okay, let me give you an out of context example,
Sure.
and then I get to the data agent. I always, when I think of data agent, I think of imagine a headquarter of a company. There is a CEO walking in the aisle, right? There are a couple of assistants surrounded this CEO and updating the CEO with the right information from different angles of the companies and prepare the CEO for the next meeting, right? Someone, hey, this is what happened in social media regarding your next meeting. Hey, this is what happened in the news regarding your next meeting. So everyone feeding lots of intelligence to that CEO to make think and this act correctly in the meeting in favor of the headquarters.
Right.
Data agents are those assistants.
Mm.
And CEO is the AI agent or AI model that we are talking about. So data agents, what we are thinking, there must be some autonomous entity. That's why we call them agent. An autonomous entity that can grab the data, process them, clean them, and deliver what matters most for AI to act and think correctly. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It's kind of like you're getting that, and your CEO example is I really like it because it gives you like this understanding, like, okay, you're about to go, especially like if it's a public thing, right? You have to get some context on what's happening right now. Certain things you cannot mention, certain things you can. That's why you need those filtered down contextual information points that are very important for this specific case and for this specific example. And I heard a lot like comparisons lately with like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud as far as like, data compute. And then there's like a comparison to Heisenberg. And I was wondering like how does Heisenberg compare to this two, right? Like AWS and Google Cloud and what makes the Heisenberg network different if it is different at all?
Mhm. That's a good question. So I think one of the reasons that you heard about this kind of company comparison is because of actually the research we've done, right? We at the beginning that we started Heisenberg, there was a research that we did and compared the computational costs of using Amazon to run or AWS running this data agent or using Heisenberg to run these data agents, right? We showed that actually compare in terms of just the cost, that which is, as I said, is one of the main barriers these days for many companies to get into AI and make it practical. We showed that actually we can reduce the cost by 70%. Okay,
Wow.
that's kind of the part that got a bit more attraction in comparison with such computing platforms. But something that I have to elaborate here, and the elaboration is that we are a CPU compute, right? Of course, if you want to use GPU, maybe there are others who are competing, but we are competing in the CPU, and we are a big fan of CPU because of the nature of these data agents where GPU is even an overkill. If you use CPU correctly, it works better, it's cheaper. So comparing apple to apple, Amazon CPU compared to AWS CPU compared to Heisenberg CPU, 80, 70% cheaper. That's
That's
that's one.
amazing. Well, that's amazing. And I mean, I imagine all those businesses and corporations right now that are using those type of cloud compute, and the costs that are associated with this, especially in the era where everyone's cutting costs, where like in the United States, they're like cutting costs like crazy. Everyone's trying to find ways how to save on the admin costs. And this
Mm.
just sounds like music to the ears, I guess, to a lot of corporations or businesses as well. I want to ask like a question that I think is one of the most exciting for me and for I mean a lot of folks who are kind of like me as well. So like one of the coolest things about Heisenberg Network is that anyone can contribute their computer. Like for example, the laptop that I'm using right now to record this interview, and they can contribute it to power and earn crypto um, through work with Heisenberg. But like, can you explain to me how does this work?
Okay. That's kind of, that's the part that we reduce the cost for the businesses, right? What when we were talking about the cost of these data agents, I have to maybe mention something that it could be valuable here as well, is that maybe many people think that, okay, you know what, there are a lot of open source models out there now. Meta gives you very powerful
Right.
models. Even DeepSeek, the model is
Open
as good
source.
as ChatGPT. It's open source. It means that you can just use it. If you have a server, you can use it and run it, right? That's the part actually we should look at where the cost is now for businesses. The cost is not to building another model anymore, is using this model and feed it with the data of your context to use it correctly. For example, let's say you want to use it as a chatbot for your financial bank statement, bank, right, as a chatbot. So this chatbot requires to get all the news, all the data every day, so to be able to work correctly. So the cost actually now, overhead of the cost is on the running these data pipelines, which we call them data agents. And to run these funds, there is one option is that, okay, go and get some nodes from Amazon's or any centralized entity and build your own pipelines and do it,
Right.
right? So you need to rent it, you need to set up it, you need to launch and run, implement your own data agents, and then use it and feed the data to your open source model and use it. That's one. The other way for them is that, okay, I use Heisenberg. And
Right.
what happened in Heisenberg part, now I'm getting to your question, is that there are a huge amount of idle resources out there. Every one of us has at least a laptop to work with these days.
Yep.
And we are thinking, like, okay, that's all I can do. But if you look at the average consumptions of your CPU per day, most likely you see that around at least 30 to 40% of this CPU is idle, at least. And we're like, okay, you know what? This 30 should not be wasted. If you're working 9 to 5, why shouldn't be a kind of a background process who securely leverage your compute without interrupting your daily, and you earn from that? That's kind of, these nodes about. There is no technical kind of, background you need. There is an app similar to any app that you install on your computer. You can install it, and it's completely an isolated environment, doesn't have access to any of your hard drive or whatsoever. It's completely just focused on your compute, okay?
Right.
And it's connected to your compute, and behind the scene, it uses it. So it doesn't matter how powerful your CPU is. As long as your CPU is uptime and is connected to the Heisenberg network, it's counted toward earning points. Okay, so uptime brings a lot of points for you. I don't know, you have friends,
Right.
those are, you can actually build your own network now that, okay, they connect their nodes through you
Hmm.
and you earn from their computers.
Oh, I
Okay,
see.
and on top of that, we have these data agents computes. We assign them to your 30%, 40% of your compute. You run them and process the data, and then you also earn. And these points that you earn will be mapped to the token.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then, well, the token is yours, right? So
Yeah.
you're literally running a small infrastructure company on your laptops with
Right.
your network, and you earn from it.
That sounds crazy. Hold on. Let me summarize it and say it back to you just so I can confirm that I'm understanding everything correctly. So let's say I'm just I'm just the normal guy, have a normal job or whatever. I have a laptop that I bought, whatever, like a couple years ago even. And let's say like I press Control Alt Delete to just to go to my task manager and this to see kind of like the CPU consumption. And if I have like, during my like uptime when I'm actually working, even then if I have like some significant amount, let's say 20-40% CPU that is not utilized, this is actually my inventory, right? So what I do is then I'll go to Heisenberg.so and then just like I download the app and I guess like it's kind of like a flip the switch and it gets connected to your laptop, but it doesn't connect to your hard drive, so it doesn't like see your data or anything like that. It just uses your CPU, and you're basically renting out that CPU to Heisenberg by just flipping the switch, and you can just do whatever you want on the background as well, your usual job, or just keep it at idle. And so that's how you get all of your compute. That's why it is decentralized. So meaning like it's decentralized because you don't store it anywhere in your servers. You're actually renting out from all of us who are users.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, you're saying I can also get like my network to Heisenberg and kind of rent their compute through myself, and I guess get like some sort of a cut of that compute as well. And that's where you say you can have your own little network.
Yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
then like in return, you're earning tokens, and the tokens you can exchange for crypto, basically.
Yeah,
And
you,
that's
you earn points, and the points will be mapped to the
okay,
token.
okay. You earn points, and that's how you get the crypto. And literally, you do zero work. You just kind of flip the switch on, and you just rent out your compute that your CPU that you're not using anyways.
Exactly, exactly. And you have the control. It doesn't mean that you run it and you don't know what's happening. So there is a dashboard that you see, okay, these are the jobs being run. You see some description about them. And if you think that, okay, you know what? I need my CPU at the moment. You can stop it anytime and you can resume it whenever you want.
Okay, so it's not like you can flip it on, flip it off at any time. So you're not
You
gonna
are
get
in
penalized.
power for your own node.
No, that's so cool. You know, a lot of very industrious folks right now listening to this or watching this video who are like, how can I get some side hustles going, right? And instead of going door dashing, you can maybe go flip on the switch on your laptop and just like have that passive income, I would say. But I bet a lot of people right now are very excited to hear that because it requires zero work, and I love that.
That's kind of, something similar. I believe that is happening. There are a lot of delegations happening in the world. We are delegating building the AI models to everyone. We are delegating the infrastructures to people as well. So I believe that that's something that sooner or later everyone will get involved that, okay, my laptop, my computer, or my any compute device I have is not just to serve me. I can actually use it as a side hustle. And it can be actually build a huge network, making an impact in
Yeah.
AI, even though I'm not an AI scientist.
I love that a lot. And honestly, I know we're coming close to our at the end of our interview, and I definitely need to invite you for the second part of this podcast. But I just wanted to add to that is like the one thing I'm thinking right now from the economic perspective is the prices of the CPU and the laptops, and how does that affect if like once this catches on and everyone can just use their CPUs, what will it do to the price of CPU? What will it do to the price of a laptop and all of that? Like it's gonna be a crazy kind of like a ripple effect on the market, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just kind of making this up, but those are the questions I also have, which is funny.
That's actually a good question. I think we don't know what's going to happen on that
Yeah,
part. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But I believe that at the moment, according to stats I have from some reports, 60%, that's huge. 60% of CPUs all around the world are idle.
that's
That's
crazy.
that's a lot. That's a lot. And no one used them for
Hmm.
any good purpose. And the purpose of these days is advancing AI in the right way. So that's how I see that this idle resource can be utilized.
I mean, 60% worldwide, that's sort of value just sitting there idle. That's just ridiculous. And it's kind of like this gold mine, right? Like a gold rush. Where everyone's just gonna start using it like crazy. Oh, that's very exciting. Well, Maury, I know you gotta go, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with me. How can people learn more about Heisenberg Network? Where should they go?
Two main Channels I would be are the best. Of course, the website is one of them. The other one is our social media. We are kind of, keeping everyone updated about every kind of day. We are very open on our progress. So we release everything's progressively there. So everyone can see that what we have done, what's available to leverage, and what will be coming next. So social media as well. I can share also Heisenberg.so is the website. Sorry.
And I'll drop all the links into the description of the
Okay.
podcast as well.
Perfect.
So social media and there's the website. And I wanted to also mention that there is a wait list going on to get on the Heisenberg app, and it's also going to be on your website, as far as I understand.
Yes. Yeah. The notes, we don't have the node sale, but we have a node release that happens through a wait list that we launched it already. So you can add yourself to the wait list and you will kind of, they will be added batch by batch to kind of,
Mhm.
install the node on their computers.
Yeah, actually, my friends are texting me recently because I shared them the Heisenberg link, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're already on the wait list." Like they got excited too. So that's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Maury, thank you so much, and I will definitely invite you to the second part. I actually have much more questions for you because I want to talk to you about crypto. I want to talk to you about like what the future holds, but I'm gonna save those questions for later, as an excuse to have another conversation with you. So thank you so
Sounds
much,
good.
sir, and I appreciate your time, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Samir. Yeah, definitely we have to continue this discussion soon.
Thank you so much.